Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. Today I'm going to talk to you about my breastfeeding journey this time around and some of the struggles that I went through trying to breastfeed my son Zane. Spoiler alert, this video is about breastfeeding. If you're uncomfortable with the topic of breastfeeding or you don't want to hear me say nipples about 10,000 times, stop watching now. I want to start off by saying that it doesn't matter how you feed your baby, so long as your baby is fed and you and your baby are both happy and healthy. That's what's most important. I really wanted to try and breastfeed my son as much as possible. I did breastfeed my older son and I did struggle with that as well, but no matter which way you feed your baby, it just matters that they're healthy and they're eating. Breastfeeding is difficult on its own, let alone in the middle of a pandemic, which makes it 10 times harder because you don't have the same type of support that you normally would. I'm also going to share some of the products that really helped me as I went through this breastfeeding journey, so hopefully you find this video helpful and keep watching. This time around, there wasn't a whole lot of support when it came to breastfeeding. I really took for granted a lot of the support that I had when it came to breastfeeding the first time around. With my older son, Zachary, I had to take a lot of supplements just to make sure I was producing enough milk. I took a fenugreek supplement and also I had to take a pill. It's called Motilium, which was meant for motility, but weirdly enough, it had a side effect that it made people produce milk. So I took those two pills the whole time I was breastfeeding him, which I ended up making it for almost a whole year. I think I finally stopped when he was about 10 months old. This time when I asked for a breastfeeding consultation, I was told that because of COVID, there isn't any breastfeeding or lactation consultants that are available. I really had to go online and search for myself for some additional help. I almost thought that this time around I would have to give up breastfeeding very early on because I was in such severe pain. When he was first born and they put him on my chest, the first thing I noticed is that his suckle is extremely strong. And at first I was so proud, I thought, okay, he's really advanced and this is going to be great. Except I didn't realize the whole time he wasn't latching properly. Even the nurses made a comment about how strong his suckle is. They really didn't point out any issues with his latch, so I thought we were good to go. I didn't really think too much about it, but then the following day he started cluster feeding and he fed for almost 4 hours straight, which was painful, but it wasn't excruciating yet. I thought I was never going to be able to leave the bed. I'm not sure if it's because I didn't have very much colostrum, which is the milk that comes in before your real milk, or he was just a really hungry guy, but he fed for a very long time. Things were getting a little bit sore, so I started putting lanolin cream on, and this wasn't really doing anything, but I thought it was helping a little bit. I think maybe it was a placebo effect. I also tried putting breast milk on my nipples and letting them air dry after I would feed my son. I really didn't find that this worked either, although I heard it was supposed to. Another suggestion from moms online was to do nipple soaks with warm salt water, and this did relieve some of the inflammation temporarily, but as soon as I would feed my son, the scabs would reopen. At one point, every time he would cry or show signs that he was hungry, I would almost break down. I was in so much pain. Every time he would eat or I would pump, the scabs on my nipples would reopen and I would be in severe pain. About 3 days after we got home, I was pumping and I hit a breaking point when I saw in my milk when I was pumping that there was actually blood that was pooled in the bottom of my milk. And that's when I realized I really need to talk to my doctor. I went to my baby's 1-week-old appointment. He was absolutely shocked that I hung in for as long as I did. My doctor prescribed me a compound cream, which is essentially crushed up pills inside of an ointment, and that was a game changer for me because it allowed my nipples to finally heal. The medicinal ingredient in the compound cream is Betaderm. While I was applying the cream about 2 or 3 times a day, I was exclusively pumping and feeding my baby with bottles. It is such a pain in the butt exclusively pumping, and I really feel for my exclusively pumping moms out there because there's just so many accessories to wash and you have to wash and rewash them every single time. When I knew it was time to pump, a part of me would shudder because I knew I would have to wash all of these parts all over again, and that is such a pain. Once I was healed, I went online and I was looking for some lactation consultants or some sort of breastfeeding support. They set up an appointment for me to talk to a public health nurse who specializes with breastfeeding. A day later, a public health nurse called me to figure out what type of problems I'm having with breastfeeding. The public health nurse asked me about how much I'm pumping in a single session, and when I told her about 200 ml, she was really shocked. That was a lot of milk for such a short amount of time pumping. The public health nurse assumed that Probably because my letdown was really aggressive, my son was clamping down or biting my nipple, which actually caused the irritation in the first place. She suggested to me to actually lie down when I'm feeding him, just so that the letdown wasn't as aggressive, and this helped a lot because he stopped biting. Being fully healed allowed me to try different positions and different holds for breastfeeding, and that was a game changer for me. We finally found the position that worked best for us, and as we continued practicing, my son's latch also improved. Now we're in a really good place when it comes to breastfeeding, and I don't have any issues with supply, but I do recommend for moms that are pumping and trying to figure out breastfeeding not to pump as much as you would feed your baby, just because you do artificially increase your milk supply. And look, we're breastfeeding while filming a video about breastfeeding. I now exclusively breastfeed him, and I do pump from time to time, but I have a pretty big storage already in my freezer, as you can see. I really do love these heating/cooling pads. On the inside there's a whole bunch of little gel beads. Depending on what type of comfort you need, you can pop it into the microwave or you can pop it into the freezer, and it really did come in handy when I was pumping. This Nature Bond pump comes with so many accessories. It comes with a strap and also a stand to make sure that the machine doesn't fall over. It turns out I was using it completely wrong. I thought that it's a manual pump, so you put it on and then you start squeezing and pumping out the milk, but that's actually not how this pump works. This pump works by squeezing it and placing it on, and that way it catches your letdown on the other side when your baby's breastfeeding. Postpartum hair loss is real, guys. I'm shedding hair off of this pump. How gross. These Komotomo bottles are great, and my breastfed son didn't have any problem taking this bottle. They're really easy to wash as well. I didn't have to buy an extra bottle washer because these bottles have a super wide lip, so you don't need to buy any fancy equipment to wash them. You can just use your regular sponge. I also bought these storage bags to store all of my pumped milk to make sure that it's not going to waste. Nothing breaks my heart more than dumping breast milk down the sink. It's just agonizing. If you're struggling with breastfeeding, I want you to know that you're 100% not alone. I really recommend to search out some support in your area. Let me know in the comment section below if you also had a hard time breastfeeding your children and what you did to help. There are resources out there for you to try. There is phone support out there as well as video conferencing, so that helped me a lot when I was trying to figure out my latch with my son, and I really recommend those services to you as well. Did we finally figure out breastfeeding? If you found this video helpful, don't forget to subscribe. Say bye guys! Bye guys, see you in the next one.